Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. When we recessed on yesterday, we were still in the state's portion of the evidence. Is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Who will be your witness?
Sean Wyckoff, Your Honor.
All right. You've been sworn previously? No. Okay. Clerk will swear you in.
You do solemnly swear the testimony that will not be obtained before this court.
Yes, I do.
Will you state and spell your name?
It's Sean Kevin Wyckoff. Last name spelled W-Y-C-O-F-F.
And how do you spell Sean?
S-H-A-W-N.
And how are you employed?
I'm employed with the Colorado State Patrol.
How long have you been with the Colorado State Patrol?
I've been with the Colorado State Patrol for 17 years.
And what are your duties with the Colorado State Patrol?
My main duties with the Colorado State Patrol is I'm assigned to the field. I'm currently assigned to the Boulder County Troop. It's patrolling the highways of the state of Colorado and the unincorporated areas of Colorado.
And in January of 2007, were you with the Colorado State Patrol?
Yes, I was, but I was assigned to a different troop. I was assigned to Troop 1B of Adams County. It's just north of Denver.
And specifically on January 25th, 2007, did you have any contact with someone later identified to you as Brandon Daniel?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe where you first saw Mr. Daniel on January 25th, 2007?
The first time that I seen him was on I-25. It was just south of 58th Avenue. It's just outside the northern city limits of Denver on the highway.
And is that a fairly well-traveled area?
Yes, it is.
And describe to us what you saw when you first saw Mr. Daniel.
I was doing stationary enforcement. When I first seen Daniel driving northbound on I-25, he was riding a motorcycle. He clocked in at 80 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour speed zone. And then after I clocked him, I proceeded to try to pull him over, and at that point in time, he accelerated and took off.
And what sort of vehicle were you in at the time?
I was in a Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor.
And you indicated he was on a motorcycle?
Yes.
Was he with someone else?
There was another motorcycle slightly to the rear of him. They were apparently riding together. And then after he was clocked and I proceeded from the shoulder to catch up, they split up and accelerated.
You went in opposite directions?
Correct, yes.
And did you attempt to pursue both or one, or what did you do?
Well, I attempted to pursue the one that I thought I could catch and the one that I clocked, which was Mr. Daniel. And then as I was proceeding to try to get up, I lost visual of them momentarily. And then the exit, there's an exit to another interstate just north of that area where I clocked him at, maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles ahead. And by the time that I got to that exit, he had already exited, and I looked up and I could see that he was on the exit, headed eastbound on Interstate 76 at that point.
But from there, you'd already passed the exit and couldn't get to where you started?
That's correct.
So what did you do next?
Well, I knew that there was another trooper. Our troop office is up on I-76, and it intersects with Highway 85. We call it the Lower Junction there. And I knew there was another trooper over there, so I radioed to him and said, hey, there should be this green motorcycle heading your way at a high rate of speed, and that the driver was wearing a black helmet and some jeans, and watch out for him. And that other trooper, Trooper Templeton, actually seen the defendant still driving at a high rate of speed over there.
And Trooper Templeton was able to detain him?
Yep, Trooper Templeton was able to get him stopped at Highway 85 and 104th Avenue. It was about a tenth of a mile east of that location.
And did you go to that location?
I did, yes.
And did you recognize both the person and the motorcycle as the one that you had clocked earlier?
Yes, I did.
Did the motorcycle stand out?
Yes, it was a one of those bright green motorcycles. It wasn't just like a flat green. It was one of those bright, what do you call them?
Highlighter green?
Yeah, highlighter green is what it was like.
And when you made contact with Mr. Daniel, how did he identify himself?
He had provided identification to Trooper Templeton prior to my arrival on who he was. He produced a Colorado driver's license to him.
And what class license did he present?
In Colorado, it's a Class R, but he did not have an endorsement for a motorcycle license.
So you had a driver's license, but not permission to drive a motorcycle?
That is correct.
Was he cited for that?
Yes, he was.
Was he also cited for evading or eluding?
Moving on, police officer, that's correct, yes.
And did you have any conversation with him regarding the eluding?
Yes, he was read his rights once. He was transported back to the State Patrol office in Commerce City. I advised him of his Miranda rights, and he waived his rights at that point in time and answered some questions regarding what took place.
What conversations did you have with him at that point?
First off, asked him if he was on I-25. He said that he was, and then he was asked, I asked him if he was racing his buddy on the interstate, and he said that he was, and there was some other questioning, which I don't really recall, but then I asked him, or I told him that he needed to be truthful with me regarding, why he was running, because he said he was just out joyriding. And then he said, yeah, that I had caught him, that he was running, and that he just didn't want to get caught. He didn't want to lose his license or his motorcycle, was what he said.
And in addition to the eluding and the improper endorsement on his license, did you find any other contraband on Mr. Daniel?
Yes. Before he was placed into the patrol car, we searched him and we found 0.02 ounces of marijuana in his pants pocket.
And in 2007, was that legal or illegal in the state of Colorado?
In 2007, that was illegal in Colorado.
And so I understand that now it would be legal, but then it was not, is that correct?
That is correct.
And did the motorcycle have license plates?
The motorcycle, it was registered, but he didn't have the registration, the plates actually attached to the bike. He said that he left them at home.
And you indicated that when you attempted to pull out in your police interceptor that he took off at a high rate of speed. Would you describe more in detail what you saw as far as that?
Well, I was sitting in the center median. There's actually an HOV lane, a high occupancy vehicle lane, and there's a concrete barrier, and there's a break in that barrier. So I was sitting in the HOV lane just at that break where you could go into the normal flow of I-25. And that's when I clocked Mr. Daniel in the lane. And then as I was proceeding in between the barriers to catch up, that's when the rapid acceleration took place, and then the numerous lane changes was occurring, and it was obvious he was trying to get away, didn't want to get caught by the police.
When you say numerous lane changes, is he going in and out of cars traveling on the interstate?
That's correct, yes.
And you said there was a rapid acceleration, and that started from 80 miles an hour?
That's correct, yes.
So do you have any idea how fast he accelerated to?
I actually asked Mr. Daniel how fast he thought he was going. When he was questioned, he said he thought he was going between 90 and 95, and that would go along with what I was estimating.
And as far as your experience, in a pursuit, is a parked Crown Victoria any match for a motorcycle already on the move?
No, not even if Crown Victoria is moving as a police interceptor and match for one of those cafe-style motorcycles. You're not going to catch them if they decide to run.
What is a cafe-style motorcycle?
They're also known as like the crotch rocket style motorcycles. It's they're mainly built for speed is what they're built for. They're performance bikes.
Was the other gentleman riding alongside Mr. Daniel ever apprehended?
No, he was not.
I'll pass those.
Good morning, Officer Wyckoff. I guess it's Trooper, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. In Texas, we have troopers, so I'm assuming in Colorado that's the same terminology you're addressed by normal.
That's correct. Yes, trooper.
Okay. So I just want to ask you a few questions about the incident itself. You're saying that initially Mr. Daniel told you that he was racing with a buddy, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And both of these bikes, when you saw them, were traveling at a high rate of speed, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
And when you activated your lights and engaged them to stop them, they split up, correct?
That is correct.
So fair to say that the other bike was eluding as well?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with regard to Mr. Daniel, you stated that he was able, or he did stop for Trooper Templeton, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
He pulled over of his own accord and stopped for Trooper Templeton.
Yes, he did.
Okay. And I believe your words say were you're not going to catch him if they decide to run in a type of vehicle that you guys had.
That is correct. Yes.
From a standpoint, and you said even from a moving vehicle.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. So it's fair to say, based on what your training and experience and your testimony, if you want to keep on going, if you just kept on going, you never would have caught.
That's correct. Yes.
But eventually he stopped for Trooper Templeton.
Yes.
And you also stated that he was arrested. Is that correct?
He was arrested. Yes.
And at that time, did he resist? Was he compliant, cooperative, polite, or anything like that?
He did not resist.
We certainly would have noted that in your report had he resisted or anything like that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So with regard to the charges that he had as a result of the incident, in other words, the eluding the registration or failure to have the proper endorsement on his license and the marijuana, can you tell me if you know what the final disposition of those cases was?
I don't know the final case disposition, no.
So you don't know if he was convicted or if he entered into some sort of a deferred type of prosecution where those cases were not prosecuted in exchange for him taking some classes or something?
I know there was some sort of agreement that took place, but as far as the specifics, I don't have those details.
So you know that incident, even though you don't have the details, you do know that incident didn't result in a final conviction for Mr. Daniel's breaking. You do know that, right?
No, I didn't know that part.
Oh. And I'm sorry, I thought that because you were saying that you knew that some sort of agreement was reached. All right. And the eluding charge that he was charged with, that was just a misdemeanor, correct? That wasn't a felony offense.
That was the misdemeanor eluding. That is correct.
Pass switch.
Step down. Next witness.
Gentlemen, you need excuse for returning the call.
No, thank you.
Your state calls Carissa Marino. Ma'am, would you state your name and spell your first and last name for the record?
It's Carissa Marino, CARESA-MARINO.
Ms. Marino, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the Cheyenne Police Department, Cheyenne, Wyoming.
In what capacity?
Capacity, I'm a patrol officer there.
How long have you been a patrol officer in Cheyenne?
I was hired on December 20th, 2011, so 2 years about.
Ms. Marino, do you know a person by the name of Brandon Gagnon?
Yes, I do.
And have you known Brandon Gagnon or known who he is for a long time?
I have.
Do you recall back in April of 2012 when you saw a news report about Brandon Gagnon being arrested for murdering an Austin Police Department officer?
I do. I was up in Cheyenne at the time and I saw on the news.
What was your immediate thought when you saw that?
I said, wow, I know that kid. He wrecked me in the 6th grade. And my initial thought was, I'm not surprised to see him on the news.
Did not surprise you.
No.
Let's talk about that incident when he threatened you when you were in the 6th grade. Okay. Were y'all in school together?
We were
And tell us where you were in school at.
Pineland Elementary School. It's in Barker, Colorado.
What grade were you in?
I believe 6th.
And Ms. Marino, at that time, how long had you known Brandon Gagnon?
At that time, probably just a couple of years.
Can you describe if you had any kind of relationship with him or any kind of interaction with him prior to the day that this incident happened?
Very minor. I knew of him. We didn't really hang out a whole lot. Just 2 different groups of friends.
Were you on friendly terms with him?
No, not really. We weren't enemies at that time, but like I said, we didn't really talk at all. So,
Ms. Marino, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Ms. Marino, tell the jurors what it was that happened on that day in your own words.
That day we were out at recess. We had about 30 minutes of that to get out and go play. We were on the playground. I was playing soccer with some of my friends. I had just finished kicking the ball to someone and Brandon ran up to me and he immediately told me that I needed to lock my doors and my windows and that he was going to come to my house and rape me. Then he proceeded to call me a bitch and a fucker. At that point, I was scared. I was about 14, and I just ran off. That's pretty much happened.
Have you done anything to provoke him to be so aggressive with you?
No. Like I said, I was just playing, and he actually ran up to me, and he stopped me from playing, and that's when he told me. So,
He told you better lock your doors and windows. He said he was going to rape you.
yes, sir.
Did you understand what rape meant?
At that time, yes, I did.
Is that what frightened you about it?
I'd imagine so, yeah. At that time, I mean, at the age of 14, I hardly heard those words. I mean, I knew what rape was, but being called those names as well wasn't a regular occurrence for me, especially at the age of 14.
He called you a bitch and he called you a fucker, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you tell anybody about this?
At school, no. I was too scared. I mentioned it to my mom. I think it was a couple days later from reading the statement, and that's when we went to report it.
You didn't tell anybody at school, but you later told your mom about it. What was your mom's reaction to that?
She was less than pleased.
She wanted something done about that, correct?
She did, yeah.
After that happened, did you have any other interaction with Brandon Gagnon?
No, not after that. He stayed away from me at school after that, and I believe he moved because he stopped going to school with me. So,
And the next time you hear anything about him, you're seeing a story on the news in Cheyenne
yes, sir.
where you're a police officer.
Yes, sir.
And it's about him killing an Austin police officer.
Yes, sir.
Then I'll pass this.
Mr. Marino, my name is Russ Stein. Please let me know if I talk too fast. I have a tendency to get on a roll talking fast. My understanding of this incident occurred in 1999,
Yes, sir.
November of 1999. Is that your recollection?
Yes.
And so how old would you have been in November of 1999?
I think 14. My birthday is on the 28th of November, so I was probably close to turning 15, I believe.
And what is, I'm sorry, what is the year of your birth?
87.
87. And this happened in 89, so maybe we're at 12 years old?
99 probably, yeah.
Okay, fair
Well,
enough.
I don't know.
And Mr. Daniel was approximately the same age, 11, 12 years old, somewhere in that range.
Probably.
Okay. And you said this happened during recess?
Yes, sir.
So it wasn't an organized recess where the coaches tell you we're all going to play kickball or we're all going to play soccer or something?
No, it was a free-for-all.
So you were just playing a pickup soccer game with some other children?
Yes, sir.
Was Mr. Daniel, do you recall whether he was or was not involved in playing the soccer game?
I don't believe so.
So your recollection is this just sort of happened out of the blue, came up, ran up to you, said he's strange to you.
Yes, sir.
But he had never come threaten you prior to that, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I believe that you made a statement, and in your statement, you said you talked to some friends of his who told you that he was just joking. Is that right?
I don't recall that. It was in my statement, though, so I assume.
And you told your mom.
I did.
Your mom reported it to the school, correct?
I believe she reported to school. I know she wanted the teachers to be made aware of it.
And after that, Mr. Daniel avoided you. Is that right? Didn't make any further kind of threats or comments like this to you?
No, I did not.
It was not a trouble to you after that?
No.
Maybe made you uncomfortable if you were around him, but he didn't go out of his way to be around you. Is that right?
Correct.
And certainly never followed through with any of these kind of threats.
No, I did not.
And I believe you said that he must have transferred to another school, but you don't remember him going to that school for much longer.
I don't. No.
Or we'll pass the list.
So, Ms. Moreno, his friends came to you and said he was just joking.
Like I said, I don't remember his friends at all. I couldn't even tell you who they were at that time, but I wrote it down, so it must have happened. It was a long time ago.
Did you think it was funny?
No, I did not.
Did he ever come to you and apologize?
No.
He never told you he was just joking with you.
No.
That's what he's trying.
Adverse witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Moreno, I want to show you your statement that you gave in Douglas County. Sheriff, what city is Douglas County? What's the main city of Douglas County?
Purpose?
Parker? Okay. If you read, just to yourself, not out loud, if you'll read this sentence in your written statement.
Okay.
So, Mr. Cobb asked you if Mr. Daniel ever came to you and said that he was joking. Do you now recall that he did come to you and tell you that he was joking?
He must have. I don't remember it happening. Like I said, it was a long time ago.
But you can confirm that you wrote in your statement that Brandon came to you and told you that he was only joking, correct? Fair enough. Your Honor, we'll pass the list.
Was it funny to you, then?
No.
No other questions?
No other questions?
You may step down. That's it.
Gentlemen, Ms. Moreno be excused to return to
That's fine with me. A statement called Lewis Escalante.
state your name and spell it, please?
Louis R. Escalante Jr. Louis Rescalante Jr. Jr.
And Mr. Escalante, you're obviously incarcerated currently.
Yes, sir.
And just as a preliminary matter, in the past, you've been convicted of failure to identify, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And 2 misdemeanor theft charges,
Yes, sir.
a misdemeanor bail jumping case,
Yes, sir.
and you're currently on probation for theft out of the 390th District Court here in Travis County?
Yes, sir.
And you were originally convicted of that in January of 2013, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Or placed on probation?
Yes, sir.
And before that, you'd served some time in Travis County Jail?
I served some time in Williamson County for one of my theft cases and the other one here.
Did you have a theft case there as well?
Or if I'm not mistaken, yes, I do.
Okay. And in late 2012, early 2013, were you housed downtown at the Travis County Jail, or were you at Del Valle?
I was housed in Del Valle.
And at some point, did you make trustee?
Yes, I did.
What does that mean?
Trustee means that you work, they give you a job, and you'll work anywhere, wherever they position you. At this time, I was positioned as trustee fire watch, which is in HSB in Del Valle.
In the Health Services Building of Del Valle?
What was that?
The Health Services Building of Del
Yeah.
Valle?
Yes, sir.
And just to follow up, currently you are on probation, and you have orders to go to,
ISF.
and what is ISF?
ISF is it's a drug treatment program. To my knowledge, it's a drug treatment program, so like another situation for probation and parolees, which is half TDC and half a county.
And it's an intermediate sanctions facility where you're to receive drug treatment.
Yes, sir.
And you were ordered to go to that before you ever received a subpoena?
Yes, sir. I came here January 22nd of this year. Got stamped on January 22nd to go to ISF. I was supposed to be waiting 4 to 5 weeks to leave, but until then, I'm still here. February 3rd, I'm sorry, I got subpoenaed.
And I have not made any offers to you to benefit your case or anything of that nature?
No, sir.
And actually, I didn't contact you until after your case was already done in the court, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I want to ask you about your time when you were on fire watch in HSB in late 2012, 2013. Were you at that time familiar with an inmate named Brandon Daniel?
I wasn't too much familiar with Brandon Daniels until I actually spoke to him. I was, like I said, I was kind of curious of what type of uniform he was wearing until he had started explaining to me what the situation, why he was there.
Okay, and what does that mean? You're curious as to what type of uniform?
Well, again, when you're wearing red, orange and white stripes, you are either, high felon. In other words, aggravated. You're aggravated. Your cases are aggravated or murders, one of the two.
And so you were curious as to why he was
there.
And if I could ask you to do me a favor, will you let me finish my question because she can't type both of our words at the same time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about Mr. Daniel made you curious as to why he was in high security?
Well, I had friends that were there before. They had aggravated robbery, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and stuff like that. To my knowledge, I was curious again. I thought he was there for, aggravated robbery or aggravated assault and whatever until he started explaining to me why he was there.
And why did he tell you he was there?
I don't know. I couldn't really tell you. He had told me that if I overheard, have I been watching the news lately about the murder, the cop got killed at Walmart.
Was he talking to you when he said that?
Yes, he was talking.
So he asked you if you've seen
I was
him.
actually face to face with him at the door.
So he's in the isolation cell,
Yes, sir.
and you're talking to him through the door,
Yes, sir.
and he asked you if you'd seen him on the news?
He had asked if I seen the person on the news. At this point, I didn't recognize him because he already had his hair on. He already had grew his mustache and his coat and his beard, basically. And so he showed him for me a picture of himself, which is at this time he had hair like mine. And I'm like, it kind of shocked me when he started telling me that it was him, that he's the one that murdered the cop.
And where did he have the picture of himself?
I don't know how he got rid of it. It was supposedly in his cell.
Was it like a photograph? Was
It was a picture cut out, I guess, from the newspaper, if I'm not mistaken.
And what was his attitude when he showed it to you?
His attitude was like, I mean, he wasn't like mad or sad about it. I guess he was, he was chuckling. To me, chuckling means, I guess, just laughing.
Did it seem to you that he was taking pride in it?
I have no idea. I mean, to say that he had taken pride into it, he was, again, smirking and laughing. At this point, I had explained to him, I told him, your life's on the line. You did capital murder. You killed a Nate Lee at this time. He was like, it is what it is. And I'm like, wow, it's kind of crazy. And basically, I had asked him if he had any remorse or sympathy for the guy or anything. He just nodded his head no.
At another point, did you overhear a conversation he was having with another inmate?
Yes, I did, sir. As I was walking up and down doing my fire watch, checking up on other inmates, him and another inmate were having a little secret talk. It was not too loud of a voice, but to where they can actually hear each other. And I guess Brandon Daniels had told the other inmate it was. He's walking back. The trustee's walking back up here. There's just don't say no more. To my knowledge, I was again curious of what they were really talking about, and so he had told Troy, I guess the other inmate, Troy Williams, had told him that he's okay, man. He's good. He's a trustworthy person and stuff like that. I went ahead again. I was curious to see what they were talking about. I wanted to find out to see what they were talking about, and so they finally had told me that, Troy Williams and him had finally told me that they were trying to plan an escape. At this point, this was in 2013, January. Supposedly he had a court hearing or a court appearance at that time in January. I don't know what date. To start planning the escape from here. It was supposed to be that somebody was supposed to come in with a gun and start shooting, and was one of his plans to escape from here. And when I overheard that, I sat back down into my seat in the corner next to the door to where he actually walked into the population where the other inmates are in HSD. I sat there for maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. I had to really say something because for the simple fact that I worked there, I was there as an inmate, but as otherwise there was officers there, that their lives can be in jeopardy. If anything happened at the point from taking them out or anything, transporting them.
Now, you described this conversation with Troy Williams. Where was Troy Williams' house as opposed to Brandon Daniels?
He was right across from each other.
So can you look out of...
Yeah, if I'm, like it's me and you right now that we're talking, I can see you can see me, you can actually see each other.
And did you actually hear them discussing escape plans on 2 different occasions?
Yes, I did. Troy Williams was the one that actually explained it to me. He was the one that sat there and told me everything. And I had actually informed both gentlemen that y'all like insane, that you're crazy, because to do something like that, I would never think y'all would be able to accomplish your mission, because you have a lot of, deputies, sheriffs, APs that you would have to go through for you to walk out of here alive.
Now, from that time in January, when you were placed on, January 2013, when you were placed on probation, to today, have you had contact with Mr. Daniel?
No, sir, I have not. 2013, I wasn't placed on probation. It was January, January 15th, I'm sorry. 2013, I was placed on probation. I didn't have no contact with Brandon Daniels nor Troy Williams just until yesterday morning, or should I say yesterday afternoon, around approximately between 12 and 2, around there, that I was supposed to come up here and testify, but there was another inmate there. There was his last name was Mr. Coffee, or however you want to spell his name. I was sitting next to him. My back was faced towards the picket where the guards are at down there, the transfer station. I had turned around to look to see where Mr. Daniels was at, because, like I said, Mr. Kaufman was supposedly talking to him, and when I turned around to lean back and look to my left, turned around and I seen Mr. Daniels, and Mr. Daniels was explaining to Mr. Coffee that I was a snitch, I'm talking too much, and that I wasn't trustworthy and stuff like that. To me, this is, again, part of society, serve and protect. The officer was here to, serve and protect us, not here to harm us. He was basically, I guess, trying to take Mr. Daniels out of harm, from him harming other people. But that was my understanding from Mr. Coffin, that Daniels was telling Mr. Coffin that I was a snitch.
And that was yesterday?
Yesterday.
I'll pass it.
Good morning, Mr. Escalante.
Good morning, sir.
I know that you and I have met before, is that right?
Yes, sir, we have.
In fact, I went out and saw you on February the 23rd, which was this past Sunday, the day after Mr. Bishop and Detective Hughes was received. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And along with me, I brought your attorney, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that attorney was Sylvia Foster, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I also brought my private investigator, Willie Favela. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on that, and we were in there, and I told you I had some questions for you, and Ms. Acosta there was to advise you if you needed advice, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you agreed to speak with me anyway.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if I could just slow down a little bit, and let's talk a little bit about what we talked about that day, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, I asked you a little bit about yourself and where you were from. You both realized you're from Austin, things like that, correct?
Yes, sir.
You started telling me a little bit about your current situation and your daughter.
Yes, sir.
And I remember just being taken by how much concern you had for your daughter.
Yes, sir.
Which daughter?
My 4-year-old daughter. I got three stepdaughters. Like I said, I only have one with my girlfriend, and that's the only one that I'm pretty concerned about all 4 of them. But
4-year-old is your biological daughter.
yeah, my 4th one is my biological daughter, and that's the main one that I'm really concerned about.
Okay. Why are you concerned about it?
Because for some fact that we're living with my mother in government housing, and now that my mother has gotten kicked out of housing, she has nowhere to go. Neither does my daughter, which is, or should I just say my 4 girls, my 3 stepdaughters, and my biological daughter, don't have nowhere to go. Supposedly, as you can tell, they're now living in the streets. And I'm the only one that, not necessarily that, but I'm the only one that can practically provide for them and get them on the right path. But as of right now, it's kind of concerning to me because my daughter has no roof under her head, and on top of that, my daughter's going on practically maybe 2 weeks and 3 days not attending school.
So your daughter hasn't been attending school either?
Mm-mm. To my knowledge, from what my mother was talking about, yes.
You also expressed some concern about the way that she was being taken care of by your ex.
Yes. It's really concerning to me because of the simple fact that my wife is now doing what we used to do. She went back to doing that, back to stealing, shoplifting, selling drugs, and, going back to the drugs and, lasting a long time, out of the drugs, sometimes not returning back home, at a certain day, certain time, and sometimes not picking up my daughter from school. And prior to that, I've been hearing that my mother-in-law been the one picking her up, and on top of that, sometimes my mom's been going on the Capital Metro.
Why does it concern you that your mother-in-law was?
Because again, my mother-in-law is also doing the same thing, what my girlfriend's doing, selling drugs, and that's a prohibited thing that I finally realized that I don't want my daughter to recognize or actually grow up saying that, oh, I've been around drugs all my life and I know what it is and such matter.
Okay. So it's fair to say that you want to get out there back to your daughter and your family as soon as possible, correct?
As soon as possible, if things go well, then if I have to do my 90 days and I accept, I can live with that. But as of right now, as we're speaking, my daughter is still in the streets.
You said you had 90 days to do NISF, is that right?
Yes, sir. It was recommended 90 days to 120 days. If I do good for 3 months, I will be released within 3 months.
Now, as I said, turning back to our conversation of the 23rd of February, you stated to me that you had talked to Brandon, and Brandon just said to you, he chuckled and he had no remorse, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember talking to me and you saying to me that you had been following the case in the newspaper?
Yes, I've been.
Hold on, just one thing. I asked you if you had access to newspapers. You recall that?
Yes.
And you said you did.
Yes, sir.
And you also asked you if you had access to the television.
Yes, I did.
And you said that you did.
Yes, sir.
And then I asked you if you've been following the case in the newspaper and on the television. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
And you said yes every day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, I even asked you to draw a map for me at one time, right?
Yes, I did.
Because I wanted to get your position straight within where you were when you heard this conversation between Mr. Williams and Mr. Daniel, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you did draw me a map, right?
Yes, I did.
So, and we'll get to the map in a second, so just make sure I understand. So you said to me that this happened in October of 2012, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said that you were telling Brandon, man, this is a matter of life and death. You should be concerned about yourself.
Yes,
You were
I,
looking at the death penalty, right?
yeah, yes, I did.
Do you know whether the DA had made a determination to seek the death penalty at that time?
No, no, I do not. No, I don't. And at this time, when I was speaking with Mr. Daniels, he had actually told me that the DA had two stipulations for him, which is either life without parole or the death penalty with a lethal injection.
So you're saying that in your duty as a trustee during a fire watch, that he opened up to you with all this?
Yes, I'm not going to say lie. We got really close to each other. I'm not going to say that.
Are you supposed to talk to the person like that?
Was I supposed to? I was supposed to keep every inmate in their focus and not to harm yourself or sacrifice yourself in any shape, way, or form.
Okay. Tell me about Mr. Williams. Well, hold on. Just let me ask a question. With regards to Mr. Williams, was there any special concerns about him that were relayed to you, without telling us what they said, that were relayed to you by the staff?
Yes, I was informed by the staff that Mr. Williams was one of the inmates that was known to swallow pens and pencils.
And anything else?
From what I know of, not really.
Spoons?
Oh yeah, spoons, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I was supposed to keep spoons and plastic cups away from him.
Okay.
And
So, Madam Clerk John? Mr. Escalante, I'm going to show you what's been marked as state or defense exhibit number 13. Is this the map that you drew for me?
yes, I did.
Okay. And just so we're clear, it's got a line down the middle, and there's two sides to it. One of it is got the cell structure where Mr. Williams and Mr. Daniel were held, correct? Well, we'll talk about it, but am I right about?
Yes.
As you drew it for me?
Yes.
And on the other side is a diagram of Walmart, correct? Or
yes.
the parking lot of Walmart?
Yes.
Okay. And you drew this for me on February 23rd, and those are your initials down there, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we got the exhibit 13. Read it.
No objection.
Judge Velocity, I'm going to pull up 13 here. May I publish, Your Honor? I'm going to give this to you so you don't have to take it over and see it, okay?
Okay.
We got some security concerns here. All right. So I'm going to come over here and just show you and look on that paper. This right here, turning your attention to this first, this is the structure and way the cells were situated, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at the top there, that's post, correct?
Yes, sir. Where the guards are out from the state patio room and the one man cell with their own bed and restrooms.
So post is right there, their guards right there, correct?
Yes, sir.
And on either side, on these first two cells nearest the post, you've placed Mr. Williams, Troy Williams, and Brandon Daniel, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and further down where this little stick figure is, and it looks like it's LL, but you meant LE, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that indicates you.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So, do you usually stand there or sit there to watch all the cells?
No, I normally walk up and down slowly, talking to every inmate in there to make sure that they are in the right state of mind, again, not to harm or sacrifice yourself. And
Do you also have a chair in there?
yes, I do. Where on top where it says post, I have a chair to the. If I'm looking at to my left, where Troy Williams was at on the corner, and there's a door right there. That's the only chair that I have to sit there, and I have to get up like every 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure that every inmate is again.
Okay. So you indicated to me that you were right here when you heard the conversation with regard to the alleged escape between Mr. Williams and Mr. Daniels. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, since we have this up there, I just want to take a quick minute to talk about it. The other side of this, you say is the Walmart parking lot, correct?
Yeah, the parking. No, not the parking lot. It's the door entrance on 2 sides, and then you have where you got a gap in between the 2 entrances of the doors to where the APD officer normally parks his vehicle, his cruiser at, and then otherwise if you have other people with motorcycles and stuff like that, that's where they normally park their motorcycles at.
And you told me that day that Mr. Daniel described that night to you, correct?
Pretty much, yes, not all of it, but he pretty much told me that that's where he has motorcycle parked at.
And you told me that he came into the parking lot and the police officer was already there and he parked his bike in front of him, right?
Behind him.
Behind him. So you drew these 2 lines, a longer line indicating the police officer's car,
yes,
and
sir.
a shorter line indicating Brandon Daniels'
Yes.
motorcycle, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what he told you was that the police officer was already there, he pulled his bike up around, right?
Yes, sir.
That's what he told you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, you also told me that he described the killing, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you said that he told you that he got the police officer in a lock like this.
Yes, he had grabbed him by his neck, throat, whatever. He told me he had was his chance to grab him and so really just sacrificed him, shot him in the neck.
Okay. So did he use those words, sacrifice?
No.
So you're saying that, and you indicated to me to this when we were discussing it, he grabbed him like this and then shot him in the neck.
Yeah.
That was how he described it to you.
Yeah, and then shot several more times. I don't know how many times.
Shot the officer several more times?
I don't know if he told me that. He told me that he shot several times.
Okay. You also talked about what his intentions were that night. And he told you that his intentions were to. Now, I'm saying you told me a lot, so if you didn't tell me that, you tell me you didn't tell me that. Okay?
Yes, sir.
There were other people that the witness said, right?
Yes, sir.
So you also told me that he was going into Walmart, that he told me he was going into Walmart because he wanted to get some pills because he was messed up and wanted to get his mind right.
Yes, sir. I guess to sober up to my knowledge.
So you understood that to mean that he intended to rob the pharmacy?
To my knowledge, from what he told me, was he was supposed to rob Walmart, and he was never intentions to harm the APD officer.
Okay. And he also said to you that I was stumbling through Walmart and employees noticed me, right?
Yeah, he was stumbling and knocking stuff off the counters, and the employees noticed that employees noticed that they felt that he was drunk or on some types of drugs or whatever, but they noticed that he was, knocking stuff off the counter.
Okay. And was that when he told you about him stumbling through Walmart?
Yes.
You also saw that on the news?
Yes, sir. I seen it on
So
the news.
you confirmed what he said by seeing it on the news
Yes.
and reading it in the newspaper?
Yes, sir.
And you said that he also told you that Officer Padron had told him, I'm taking you in because you're intoxicated.
Yes, sir.
And when you describe the escape event that Mr. Daniels and Mr. Williams were talking about, who did you first talk to?
The first officer that I approached was Officer Krim. And
so you told Officer Krim, you told him, if I'm not mistaken from what you told me, you told Officer Krim that Brandon told you that he and Troy were going to come to court together, and that somebody that was related to Brandon or a friend of Brandon's was going to come in and shoot up the place and get out. And that's when you told him, man, that's the craziest man I ever heard.
yes, sir, I did.
So that's what you told Officer Krim.
Yes, sir, I did. I had.
Okay, so can you explain to me then why it is that Officer Krim says that you told him that Troy Williams was planning to overtake the guard and they were going to escape and go out?
I don't know why that was said because
I'm just curious as to why Officer Krim in his report never mentioned anybody coming to the courthouse and shooting up the place.
That's what I told him, and to my knowledge, that's what I told him. And if he didn't put it on his report, then because Officer Ferguson was the one that was writing it down.
Okay, Officer Ferguson. Okay, so it might be in Officer Ferguson's report.
It might be. I'm not too sure.
So it's curious because Officer Ferguson doesn't mention that at all. In fact, Officer Ferguson says that you told him that Brandon was going to pass Williams a spoon, and Williams was going to use the spoon to overtake the guard and grab his keys and escape. That's what you told That's what Officer Ferguson wrote down. He didn't write anything about shooting up for us.
Wow. I've never, like I said, it was the two officers who were talking. When I spoke to Officer Krim, I explained to him what had happened and what the situation was. Then when he told me to go back and sit down where I was supposed to be sitting down in fire watch, the two officers were the ones that were talking as behind the counter, and Officer Ferguson was the one that was typing in the words.
So Officer Krim and Officer Ferguson both left out the fact that Brandon had told somebody to come.
Yes, sir.
Right. They just didn't put it down like you told them, huh?
Yes, sir. And that's what I basically told Officer Krim.
All right. So again, if I approach again, Your Honor, the screen thing. So again, it would have been impossible for Brandon Daniel, and it didn't make any sense to you that Brandon was going to pass him the spoon, especially passing it right here in front of post, right? You would have never said that, huh?
Yes, sir. It would have been impossible for that to happen because either or Troy Williams wasn't allowed to have any spoons again.
In fact, at the time they had plastic spoons, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at some point during your shift while you were working there, they switched to paper spoons because Troy Williams constantly swallowed it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it would have been impossible for him to pass the spoon, that's what you're saying, right?
Yes, sir.
So you never said anything about passing the spoon and using it for a weapon, right?
Well, I did say that Brandon Daniels was the one using the spoon, but at the same time, he was like watched by guards and by me.
Okay, so Brandon could use a spoon, he was allowed to use a spoon.
Yeah.
It was Mr. Williams that couldn't get the spoon.
Yeah,
He was swallowing.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned that Brandon could use a spoon, but Mr. Williams could not.
Yes, sir.
All right. So At the time that you were in jail in 2012, at that time, you had not been convicted of anything other than petty misdemeanor kind of offense, correct?
I was charged, not convicted.
Okay. So you had a lot of minor offenses. This was the first time that you had a felony offense where you were looking at time in the penitentiary, right?
Yes, sir.
And you say you didn't want to go to the penitentiary, right?
I'm sure I do.
Because all you ever been to was county jail, right?
Yes, sir.
So, you also told me that you had been visited by Detective Fugit and the District Attorney Bill Bishop the previous day, correct?
Yes, sir. Which was a Saturday.
Yes. And you told me about, I believe you even made a comment. Well, they weren't taking notes like you, but yeah, I talked to them, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you told me that Detective Fugit had taken down your cell phone number, or your mom's cell phone number?
My mother's cell phone number.
And he asked you, what, how you could be reached or something?
Yeah, he had asked me how could I be in contact and where can I be located at. I specifically gave him my mother's cell phone number and the address where my mother used to live at. And he wrote down my inmate number.
Okay. And you had said that you were left with the impression.
Yes, I was left with the impression at that point to where it made me feel like to where at some time at this point that I was going to be released or maybe they were going to get me out of jail or something like that.
In exchange for your cooperation?
Yes, sir.
And to be fair, Mr. Bishop never told you that.
No, sir. It was
just an impression that you had.
Yeah, it was just an impression that I had.
Okay. And in fact, I think later that day you called your mother, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did that approach you?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 12. And do you recall yesterday that I came down to see you and I played you this audio recording?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I showed this to you. This is the same disc I showed you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I asked you to identify the voices on the conversation that I played for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And one of the voices was yourself.
Myself and my mother.
And your mother. Okay. And I played it for you, and you were able to do that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, this time we'd offer Defense Exhibit 12, which is a conversation between this witness and his mother.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
May I publish, Your Honor? Ms. Tristan, you guys bear with me a minute. I just give me a minute to open this disc.
Yes, sir.
Now, specifically, I'm going to play the one from February the 22nd, okay?
Yes, sir.
For English, for a collect call, enter your PIN number now.
There's a little
Please enter the area code and phone number you...
There's this black box, correct, when they're connecting you, is that right? When you're entering your booking number and PIN number and all that?
Yes, sir.
You will be asked to verify your name now. Please say inmate at Travis County Correctional Complex. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. To accept charges.
I don't have the money. I'd rather...
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a private...
Monitoring. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 2. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
What's up?
I tell you, dude, don't give me time, man. I don't have that much money. They already lost my check to 300.
Okay, I'm gonna stop that for now. That first person was on the phone that said, "What's up?" That's you, right?
Yes, sir.
And this other person that said, "Hey, Meanwhile,"
That's my mother.
That's your mom.
Get the fuck out of here for what? Yeah, I don't know. So they don't give me time to put money on the phone. They're for me to send you money. Damn. I don't get 721 no more. What? That's crazy. I don't know. Yeah, it surprised me too. I'm shocked myself, and I'm having problems because they lower my check y pues si tengo que hacer todo lo que yo puedo porque si te mandan pues I have to see you, pero ahorita por eso no vine a ponerte dinero on the book because I don't have the money. I'd rather.
Now your mom is going back and forth in English and Spanish. You speak Spanish, correct?
Yes, I speak both languages.
And essentially, what your mom was telling you that you understood her to tell you was.
Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
She was telling me that she didn't have money.
Okay.
And basically saying that she's having trouble right now. You know, as it is. That she doesn't have nowhere to live. And trying to keep in contact with my older daughter.
And again, that really concerns you. That's why you want to get out so bad, right?
I'd rather put money so I can talk to you, but I'll tell you que no hables mucho because I don't got that much money to. Y el viejito ya casi no me quiere ayudar y lo que me ayuda es pues ahí.
They're just telling you not to call so much because she doesn't have any money and she's not getting help from her paramour, right?
Yes, from her boyfriend.
Okay.
Pues ahí. I have to send it on either to put money on the phone or to put money on your book.
La Carolina vino por la power of attorney.
No, aquí está, hija su pinche madre.
So what the hell is she waiting for?
But I don't know, I think, is there any way that I can pick it up?
No, because that power of attorney's under her name.
And then there you guys are talking about a power of attorney because you need some things handled that are not being handled.
Yes, sir. I receive disability through Ace Cashing and it's direct deposit all the time. So I gave power of attorney to my sister and, all, banking accounts and my W-2 forms. That way she can go ahead and file for my W-2 forms.
So that's just another reason you feel it's really important for you to get out so you can take care of your business, right?
Yes, sir.
Power of attorney, ¿cómo se la mando? Dale. Ya va y lo levanta el mandi, mijo. Right here. Porque yo, pues, y no, pues, voy a ver si el viejito me da dinero y lo que él me da, pues, I'm gonna go put it on your book Monday. I'm gonna call the bank and put it up there.
And my baby?
But the baby no me la truco this weekend. I don't know what's up with no fucking sleep, pero me robó el CD que estaba en tu cuarto.
Oh, shit.
Ya, y ella cree que así no se va a quedar, pues. Porque mira, yo confié en ella, I trusted her for her to take my keys and then for her to bring me my keys back, and she didn't bring it. And then all of a sudden she told me Jamie had it. Well, okay, but then that's the game. Okay, but yo le voy a poner cargos because you stole that TV. It wasn't a brand new TV and a very expensive TV, but that was my TV. They don't have no reason for her to take that fucking TV.
When did she pick up my baby?
She picked her up, she got there here Friday, she quedó conmigo Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday la levantó, no, ni Tuesday porque no fue ni a la escuela Tuesday, ni el Monday fue a la escuela, and
Now, here you're concerned about your daughter.
I can't hear Brad, I'm sorry.
Here you're just concerned about your daughter not going to school and such, correct?
Yes, sir. At this point, I'm very concerned about my daughter.
Okay. And I'm sorry that this doesn't have a timeline, so I can skip to the points that I want to show, but if you bear with me, okay?
One, two, outside. No red Monday on the escuela, ni Tuesday. She didn't pick her up until Wednesday, which is the 18th, and she brought her back to me on the 19th, and she took her overnight, then she picked her up in the morning to take her to school.
Oh, shit.
So more night, and then,
No hablo contigo.
No quiere hablar conmigo, la culera, yo ya le hablé, but you know what, that's her business, but you know what, you don't fuck with my shit, that way. This is the same way she don't want me to fuck with her shit, she should fuck with my shit. And I told that lady to text Nene and tell her that if they took my TV, they take it, no. Where the fuck is my TV then? She's the only one that has the key.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's fucked up, pero no se va a quedar vecina. She can do whatever she wants, pero allá anda muy una booty, baile la chingada with one of the dead homeboys. I don't know who it is who trabaja con el dead. Pero, anyway, pero no me la truco this weekend. Y yo sé que ponerle de cargo ya no me la va a traer. But I don't give a fuck, that boy. You don't fuck with my shit.
Yeah.
She calls you fat boy, is that your nickname?
Yes, sir.
You know, you do what you want to do with Fat Boy, but don't do it with me.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with my shit. You want to fuck with Fat Boy, if Fat Boy lets you, or flip you flip him, or whatever, you do it, but you don't fuck with me.
Damn.
And no tiene P.O., so they told me que le hablara al mejor chingón. I talked to your P.O., and your P.O. said that you don't have court. You're just waiting there for them to find you a bed to ship you over there.
Yeah, I know, pero vino el pinche detective a hablar conmigo hoy.
No, there you said the detective came to speak with me today.
Yes, sir.
And then that was in Spanish, that's what you said, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, she said that as long as you're going to court, listen, pay attention. As long as you're going to court, she cannot send you over there. Because if she sends you over there and they have to bring you back to court over here, you would have to start all over. And she don't want to. She said that's not fair for him to start all over.
Yeah.
So she's gonna leave you there until they find you a bed or whatever you have to pay, whatever, and then whenever it's time.
Or hablé con el detective hoy, ¿verdad? And I tried to tell him, I said, well, I'm supposed to be going out and stuff and stuff like that, and I haven't left because, you know, this situation and stuff. He goes, well, what's your full name? And I gave my full name, my date of birth.
And the detective you're referring to right there is Detective Fugue, right?
Yes, sir. Date of birth and everything. And he goes, what's a good number I can get a hold of you? Or when I said, why? He goes, because I just want to know. And I gave him your number, right?
Yes.
I said, that's my mom's cell phone number and everything. And he goes, well, what's your booking number? And I gave him my booking number and everything. So I'm thinking that he's probably going to try to see if he can get these 90 days dismissed, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm not super sure yet, but I know I'll go to court Monday.
Okay. And I won't play the rest of it, but there's another part of the conversation. If you reiterate that to her, in other words, you tell her again that you're hoping that they get those 90 days taken off your eyes there.
Yes, sir.
And that's in this conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you stated that yesterday, Brandon, Daniel, and Mr. Coffey were talking, correct?
Yes, sir. I was.
Hold on just a second. And you said that Brandon was saying to Mr. Coffey, you talk too much. You were talking too much. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me finish my this. Brandon Daniel isn't held next to you, is that correct?
No, sir.
In fact, you're on a keep separate order from the sheriff, correct?
Yes, sir.
Brandon Daniel and Xavier Coffey are not kept together either, correct?
No, sir.
They're on a keep separate list as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Now, Brandon was held at a couple of different places in Del Valley. So this event that we're talking about, when we talked about this alleged escape, that happened in HSB or Health Services Building?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Coffey was in the same building as well. Can you tell me what time frame this was?
What time frame?
Yeah.
The time frame from the time that I approached at work to do fire
Yeah,
trap.
I guess what I'm trying to say, this was in October, correct?
Yes, sir.
2012.
Yes, sir.
And they specifically, according to you, said that they were going to do this plan in January of 2013.
Yes, sir. At this point, I didn't know when his court date was, around January.
But they were somehow going to coordinate their court dates together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you still working at HSB in December of 2012?
No, sir. At that point, if I'm not mistaken, I had got discharged.
Okay. So, you weren't there on December 4th when Mr. Williams was transferred to Vernon State Hospital because he was incompetent.
Yes, I was there.
You were there, so
I was
so
there.
it was impossible for them to go to court in January and do anything.
Yes, sir. I was there 2 times, and when he got transported to the hospital 2 different occasional times.
Now let's talk for a second. You said you were discharged from your duties at Firewatch. Is that what you were doing?
Yes, sir.
And you specifically you got in trouble because you passed a pencil to Troy Williams.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he wasn't supposed to have one.
Yes, sir.
But you gave him a pencil anyway.
Yes, sir.
And you got in trouble for that?
Yes, sir.
Did you get 10 days in the hole for that?
Approximately 11 days. It was 11 days that I got in the hole for that.
Pass it.
Mr. Escalante, you made 2 separate reports in October of 2012 regarding conversations you heard between Mr. Daniel and Mr. Williams. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I have no further.
Yes, and those 2 reports were October 25th,
Yes, sir.
and that was the one that you made to Ferguson, correct?
Yes, sir.
And October 23rd, the one you sent to Mr. Craig, correct?
Yes, sir.
And one was the spoon passing incident, and the other was the breakup.
Yes, sir.
That's what it's for.
I have no.
All right. Next step. We'll take a 10-minute break. We'll recess.
Sound off.